the little chill that we've had, man, I actually like it a lot. Now, I think this is about as much as I can go. Any colder than this,
How's it compared so far out there?
it's
How's
it.
it compared out there so far, like in terms of like the weather, like the chill?
I think it's pretty similar. You know, obviously, I think it's probably a little bit drier out west than
It'll
it is.
change. It'll change. It'll get different.
So,
It'll get different.
but this is about the time of year. Yeah, I always say Halloween is when it starts to chill up a little bit. That's when you need to open up the other closet and get out the long sleeves.
So I guess with Iowa, they're traditionally, a physical team, run the ball. I guess what kind of challenge does that present for you guys defensively, and kind of different from obviously Ohio State and Oregon a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Iowa, I mean, you said it, man. They're a physical outfit. They pride themselves on running the football. They pride themselves on moving the front, moving the line of scrimmage, and feeding the back. That's kind of who they've been. It's always, obviously this is my first time facing them as a football coach, but I've always had some appreciation on how they play the game. I mean, they make it physical at the line of scrimmage. They're going to test your technique at the line of scrimmage, and they're going to run the ball. They don't, obviously, like I said, they don't hide what they do. They do little plays here and there, but most of the time they're going to give the ball to the back, and they're going to expect their linemen to move people.
I know you probably don't look back too much at this point in the season, but they obviously have a new offensive coordinator. I don't know how much you saw on previous film. How much has changed, maybe?
I just relied on obviously Coach Rossi being here, Coach Wilkes being here in this conference for a while. The mentality is the same. I mean, it's physical brand of football here. The plays might be called a little bit differently, but it's in terms of what they try to do. They're going to try to take your will by running it down their throats. And so, obviously, it's a big challenge for me. I get excited for these type of games. I think it's a heck of a challenge for our guys here watching their tape. And so, it'll be a fun one.
I asked a couple of the guys yesterday about this, but when you play the caliber of teams you played back-to-back with Ohio State and Oregon, how much do you guys as a group learn and grow from that? Not just, maybe on the defensive line as well, but also like as a whole.
Yeah. One of the things that you can get done, man, and as a football team, when we play teams like obviously Oregon and Ohio State back-to-back weeks, what those good football teams do is they expose your weaknesses. They expose some things that we're not necessarily quite detailed in, right, in terms of those things. So they expose your mistakes. Against football teams, those show up a lot more than normal games or other games. Maybe the opponent may not be as good as those two that we just faced. I mean, those two are the best teams in the country right now, and they're playing the best football right now, I think, in my opinion. So what that does, man, we're going into the bye week. It couldn't have happened probably in a better time of the season to be able to play those two teams. We come out, we've identified some issues that normally didn't show up against other opponents because they obviously were able to take advantage of those holes in our defense.
You had some time on the bye week to look back at the first six. What did you notice about what you guys were able to do well against the run, especially early in the season? Just how important is it to get back to some of those things starting this week?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, one of the things we do know, man, we try to. We take a deep breath. We get a chance to watch the film and be able to, we're not getting ready for opponents. We get a chance to worry about us and our guys here. And one of the things that I thought coming out of this thing, and we thought as a staff, is our guys played hard. They do play really hard. They play with good effort. As you guys well know, man, that's not enough to win against good football teams. You can play with good effort. Now we just got to be able to play with better technique and then be detailed. And I think those are the things that are different in terms of us playing at that level or challenging those teams right now. And so we're taking obviously taking the opportunity now that once we've identified some of those things that we need to get done, playing with technique, right? Playing with tighter hands, feet, our reactions, detailing our assignments. A bad step here could cost us a big run. Those things, or a bad call here, the communication. Those things that happen that cost us some ball games or big gains. That we get a chance to work on those things.
What were some of those things you guys were doing? Do you think really well early in the season, especially against the run, that made it tough for the opponents?
I thought at times we were really, really physical up front. I told our guys, man, I tell you what, man, there was no flinch in terms of how we play things. Now, how we fit things, did we play with perfect technique? But I thought our guys were physical in the run game. I mean, from all three levels, we got guys that want to, they want to come up, they want to show up, they want to be able to play the run. And so I thought those were one of the things that showed up in the first 6 games that we got to continue. Now, we didn't do it enough. Obviously, the last 2 games exposed some of the things that we need to continue to get better at. But there was enough there we'd be able to hang our hat on and say, hey, man, that we got to continue to get better.
Is this rotation basically worked out as you expected or you envisioned going into the season, playing a lot of guys and just cycling through?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a pretty good, like I think I said that before, that we're pretty good situation now where we got a lot of guys that's banked a lot of reps for us here. And so, again, whenever you go into, for us, going into a game knowing that not two guys are just carrying the heavy load on this thing here, they can be a little bit more fresher going in. They don't have to play tired on those things. And then I think it helps throughout the course of the season in terms of just making sure that those compound plays over and over and over again that could cause some injuries. So we've been fairly healthy now front here. I think that has a lot to do with it. And they're playing at a high level, I think.
With the way the schedule shapes up with, you got those bookend buys and then the 3 games in between, does this stretch allow you guys maybe cut loose a little bit in terms of, not worrying about injuries, not worrying about fatigue or anything? Say we got 3 games, this is a part of our season, kind of build as a chunk.
Yeah. It's nice. I mean, it's obviously coming off a bye week, knowing that we got a 3-game stretch on this thing here, that there's another bye in there. Now, it doesn't change how we approach things. No, it doesn't necessarily change things. Now, we can't worry about who's going to get hurt, who's going to get banged up. We try to be able to, obviously, we got a lot of good coaches here. We got our medical staff, our strength staff that does a great job with our guys. We're going to do what we need to do to help win the football game, which is the next one.
Does their back remind you of anybody you guys have seen already this year?
Yeah, the kid's a player, man. The kid's physical. I mean, they do a good job running downhill. They do a great job sticking to the script in terms of where the run is supposed to hit. He's going to hit it the right way, and then he breaks a lot of tackles. I mean, this guy runs really, really hard. So our guys have been able to see that on film. So, again, when you log games and these guys, it's not like we're talking about a guy that did it a year ago. Like, this guy's been doing it since the season started. So, yeah, we got a big challenge against his back.
Kind of going off of what you did well earlier in the season, your unit was really dominant early on. Do you think it was beneficial to have that bye week when you did to kind of say, what we saw against Oregon, that's not us. What we saw early on is us, and to remind yourselves that's how good your unit can be?
Absolutely. I think, like whenever you get a bye, don't get me wrong, man, it's a long season. You got camps that started in August, and then you got 6 straight games where guys are just playing ball, man. You're talking about maybe 10 weeks of straight football where these guys haven't had a lot of extensive rest in terms of resting their bodies. So, the bye week, number one, helps us be able to get our body back, take a deep breath. I mean, be able to be locked in and tuned in for 10 weeks straight. I mean, that's tough for the players. Be able now with school and all those things that are going on. They're not just football players here. They got to be able to deal with everything else that comes with being a student athlete here. So, and then playing those games. I mean, again, Oregon and Ohio State, like I said, what good teams do is they expose what we need to get better at. And so going into the bye week with the information that we got from the first 6 weeks, we feel like, hey, we're putting an emphasis on those things that we need to get better at, and hopefully it carries on through for this last stretch of the season.
Jalen Thompson, how's he coming along? Sometimes he might do things that don't show up in the box score, but how's he doing?
I've been pleased. He's gotten better every game. I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with the position and his role. I like for him to be, I think, one of the first things that come out of the first 6 games that I feel like he's missed some plays as a defensive end. I think he's a guy that's capable of making a lot more plays for us and getting them, and obviously being able to hone in on those techniques that needs to get better so he can make those plays for us, because he'll do it. I mean, the guy's a football guy now. He wants to be the best football player he can be. We're happy to have him. But I do think he had a good, solid his first 6 games of the season. I thought he got better as the season went on. But I think him and I will both agree that there's some plays there that we feel like he could have been more of an impact. And then obviously we'll hopefully that the bye week identifying, seeing those things, working on it in Indy, that we'll see Jalen a little bit more hopefully in the production paper.
Anybody else you feel like is kind of being played?
I think as a group, I think,
Snaps?
yeah, so in terms of more snaps.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously you've got a lot of guys playing, but like who's kind of looked at maybe during the bye week and said, oh, like Anthony, for example, it seems like he's had some pretty productive snaps.
Yeah. There's guys in our room, like when we identify like a guy like Quan Buckley, like the last couple of games, that guy continues to show up. Okay, how do I obviously get him a chance to be able to get on the field a little bit more? We got a guy like Quindarius who's playing good football. Like, okay, how do we get those guys on the field a little bit more at the same time? Like finding different ways to be able to get the guys that's been able to play good football consistently for us. Has got to help us in finding a way to do that during the course of the season. Now, it's a good problem to have, but it is a problem for us that we got a bunch of guys that are getting better, and then there's guys that we feel like needs to get better in terms of what they put on tape so far.
How about from your end in terms of, I know you talk about the positive side of it on the Mahalich's side, other side, they don't have the numbers. How do you guys try and help shape and mold some of those guys that they want to get pushed into their rotation or need to at this point? Like some of the younger guys, like, is that a concerted effort? We got to lean on these guys, try and, get them iron. The iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do quite a bit of good on good, like our offense against our defense during the course of the week. I mean, that's always been good to us. I mean, whenever you get good on good snaps, I think you got to be calculated. You got to be able to manage that well enough to where we don't got to be a good balance of doing just enough, not too much, where you start to hurt your football team. But we do a good amount of that during the course of the season, where we get good on good, and guys are playing against good competition throughout the course of the week.
They come to you to try and get it. Like
Absolutely.
Ben,
We're always
like
talking.
Ben Nelson, like you flip a guy over. Ben Nelson, over the course of his career, has played on both sides. Like if they come to you with the injuries that they've had, saying maybe we could.
No, those conversations hasn't happened. I can tell you that's a quick answer for me. It's going to be no, and Ben's going to play D-line for us, and he's doing a good job, and he's getting better. Now, obviously, right, it may be a conversation, but I know what my first initial answer would be.